volunteer, as defined by the dictionary, means a person who performs willingly without pay. Each of these individuals standing in or sitting in front of you has willingly stepped forward to work for you. They will give up precious time from their families, from a favorite hobby, or maybe sitting on the couch watching a favorite TV show. Why? To work for the citizens of Rockport. This year, we had 7 candidates vying for 2 seats on the Board of Selectmen. It's not easy to run for public office. It takes money and a lot of hard work and organization to hopefully win an election. This win provides you the privilege of serving the people. Each of these elected officials has an idea of how to make Rockport a better place for you to live and raise your families. They are willing to make tough decisions about Rockport's future so that Rockport can continue to thrive in a world where it's becoming difficult just to survive. I want to say thank you to each and every one of you for being who you are and having the courage to step forward and make some tough decisions that will help to benefit us all. Tonight we have gathered to swear in the winners of the May 15th, 2018 election. The positions include, on the Board of Selectmen, re-elected Sarah Wilkinson, newly elected Ruth George, re-elected on the Board of Assessors Timothy Good, elected to the Planning Board Jason Lowell Shaw, re-elected to the Board of Library Commissioners Lana Rasden. Also elected this election was Richard F. Drost Jr. and Michael Kelly for the school committee, and on the Rockport Housing Authority, John K. Knowlton. We'll begin the ceremony tonight with Mr. Good as a member of the Board of Assessors because his oath is different than everyone else's. Mr. Good, would you please stand? Raise your right hand. And repeat after me. I, Timothy W. Good IV, having been chosen to assess taxes and estimate the value of property for the purpose of taxation for the town of Rockport for the next 3 years ensuing, do swear that I will truly and impartially, according to my best skill and judgment, assess and apportion all such taxes as I may during that time assess. That I will neither overvalue or undervalue any property subject to taxation. And I will faithfully perform all the duties of said office. Thank you very much. Now, if I could have the remaining people stand, please. You're going to fill in the blanks, okay? Okay, raise your right hands. Please repeat after me. I state your name. Do solemnly swear that I will faithfully and impartially perform all the duties incumbent on me as an elected official, as a member of the state your elected office. according to the best of my abilities and understanding, agreeable to the rules and regulations of the Constitution, the laws of the Commonwealth, and the rules, regulations, and bylaws of the town of Rockport. So help me God. Thank you very much. Now you may all perform your duties as voting members of your boards and committees. Thank you for coming here tonight. Good job.
Good evening. I'd like to call the Tuesday, May 22nd, 2018 Town of Rockport Board of Selectmen's meeting to order. Thank you to the town clerk for doing the swearing in. I would like to, at this point, ask everyone to please rise and for the Pledge of Allegiance and moment of silence.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And I would like to welcome our newest board member, Ruth George, to the board. I know we've all worked with Ruth for several years on the CPC. Happy to see you in that seat down the end.
Thank you very much.
And thank everyone who supported me in this in the last election. I look forward to working with the board. I think we have a great group of people. We clearly have our work cut out for us. It was a spirited election with 7 people running, which I think is the most we've had in a long time, right, Ted?
I think it's the most any municipality has had in many, many years. I've talked to a lot of people from out of town.
Yeah, but it was exciting, and I don't want to speak for Ruth, but I know that it brought up some really good issues. It was nice to see some people who have never been involved before.
Yeah, it was. It was nice to see so many people out and asking questions, even voting day.
Yeah,
coming
voting
in,
day.
Voting day, people were coming up and asking questions. Well, what do you think about this, and what do you think about that? And
Yeah.
they still hadn't made their decision as
Yeah.
of that day.
Yeah, and I actually, voter turnout must have been very high for a local election. It was.
The last election we had that welcoming communities.
Oh, right. So that was high.
Actually higher.
Right.
So this was a little lower than that one, but still high for a local election.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it was 40%.
For around 40%, yeah. But it was great. I mean, actually met people on voting day, which is rare.
Yeah.
You know, usually you
Yeah.
kind of see the same old faces on voting day.
I'm just curious, Pat, what's the highest percentage of voters have you seen since you've been doing the job?
The presidential election always gets 89 to 90%.
Really?
Very
Wow.
good.
Of registered voters? That's
Yeah.
great.
Wow.
Yeah, almost the whole town comes out to vote for the president. And with early voting this last time, it made it easy for people to
Mm.
vote.
Yeah, I did that.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. Well, thank you and your office for all of your hard work. I know that voting day is never easy, especially when we get crazy like flash flood thunderstorms at
I know.
5 o'clock.
Yeah.
And then now I think with the electronic ballot
so quick.
readers, I think people expect the results to be instant.
They are, I mean,
Yep.
they are instant. I mean,
Really?
Right.
Just a few minutes
Yeah.
after
Right.
8 o'clock, the only thing we have to do is count the write-ins
Yeah.
after, and
Oh.
this election went on very smoothly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had people calling me at 5 o'clock being like, what's the early read? And I was like, okay, local election.
Yeah. Gets over at 8.
Like our excitement is seeing what number we voted at the polls.
Exactly.
But thanks everyone. I don't know if Ruth,
Yeah.
if you wanted to.
Yeah. No, it was very exciting. First time running for an office, and I enjoyed it. It was great.
Okay. Next on the agenda, we have reorganization of the board.
Yes. You want a motion?
Sure. If you have a motion or want to say anything.
I'd like to make the motion that we keep the leadership team as it is, with Sarah Wilkinson as chair and Don Campbell as vice chair.
I second that.
Okay. Is there further comment on that?
No, I think I would thank you both for stepping up and having sat in those seats before. It's not easy being chair and vice chair, and I appreciate your leadership both of you.
Yeah, and I for myself, I think that the continuity, given all of the complex issues that we're currently dealing with, I think the continuity of leadership of Sarah and Don is important.
Any other comments?
Yeah, I would have liked to have entertained being chair consistent with board policy. I'm good either way. All I want is what's best for the town. This is not about me or any personal agendas. This is just about what's best for the town. But I wouldn't have minded stepping up in my third year with the board to become chairperson. But if the will of the board is to maintain what we have, then I'd go along with that.
Any other comments? No? Okay. And then I would, I met with Mitch today to talk about some stuff, basically to kind of recap some stuff. And we talked about kind of honing in this year on board and committee liaisons. And I think that hopefully, Don, you can kind of take the lead on that. You seem to be the most...
The big mouth?
But honestly, the most dedicated in terms of being an actionable liaison and going to meetings, reporting back, and kind of holding the boards and committees accountable. And I know that that's one of Mitch's priorities. We discussed it because it was on Mitch's priority list.
Right.
But so I think at one of the next two meetings, we'd like to move forward with really being strong liaisons this year.
Yeah.
Because I know that I think we've all heard from the residents and board and committee members that they want and need us to be strong liaisons. So that's kind of a priority. And then we also talked about doing a workshop where this current board discusses our priorities for the next year, because I know we never really even got to do that last year.
Right, and to go along with that and to further that a little bit more, I think obviously our individual assignments to town boards and commissions are very important.
Yeah.
But I also think that we as a board need to do a better job at communicating with those boards as a board completely, rather than in individual assignments. Having clear goals and objectives, having reporting capabilities to come back so we can all work for one common goal, which is just to make Rockport a better place. That's all we all want. I mean, there's nothing hidden there. So I would just like to see better and more open communication publicly in our setting here at the selectmen meetings with those boards.
Yeah, I agree.
I think that's a really important point, Don. I agree with you. And I'd like, I think especially with, for example, the planning board, I'd really like to see us work more closely together.
Yeah.
So that we can do exactly what you said, kind of work in the same direction.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think if, you brought up a good point, Denise, with the planning board. There's no secret that there's been some tension between the two. And I think it's time to end that. I think it's time to bring people together. We both have very important roles and we have a lot of challenges ahead of us. And if we do it as one cohesive unit rather than fractured partitions, then we'd be better served to the people of town.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, just to add on to that, I think that our board was, we're a little distracted this past year. A lot of it was with the change in the town administrator's office was, frankly distracting. And I think we didn't get to communicate as well with the finance committee, the planning board. So I think it's great, kind of start fresh, new year, and going forward, really open lines of communication. Because frankly, I think some discussion happened at their meeting, some discussion happened at ours that should have happened between the two boards.
That's exactly right.
Maybe we could look at calendars and have
Invite them in.
Yeah, they should come in
Without
front
a
of us,
doubt.
Yeah.
I had discussed this with Mitch, that
Well,
we should bring
Yeah,
them
I mean, Mitch,
Oh, nice
Don
one.
Mitch actually suggested that you may be a good liaison to kind of make sure that happens with
Don
the
and I had
boards
that
every year,
conversation, and it's based
every
on our
month.
conversation,
Yeah.
tracking that down.
Yeah,
And-
because I
and-
know time flies, and something gets rescheduled, and then before you know it, like 3-4 months has gone by, and we need to not let that happen.
I'd like to see with the DPW, there's a lot of communication with them. They come in here, we have our workshops regularly, things go on. We don't always agree on everything. However, everybody has the best intentions for the town,
Yeah.
and we want to work together. So I think if that's our focus, then we'll achieve great things.
Yeah, definitely.
Great. No.
Okay.
Yep.
And with the meeting
agree.
starting at 6 o'clock,
It's
Yeah.
perfect. Yeah, it's
be nice and early for people
Yeah.
to be here.
There you go. Okay, any further discussion on this?
Nope.
Okay,
I agree.
all the motion has been made and seconded, Eileen, right? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Great. Next we have, public comment period. Toby?
Toby, can you hear?
Yes.
Toby Arsenian, 95 Granite Street. This afternoon, thanks to Mitch Vieira, I finally got the answer to the question that I asked at the town meeting and also at your board's meeting on the Tuesday after it about the appropriation for the affordable housing assessment. The figure that went into the Community Development Department is $2,500. Pathetic. And I should have had the answer to that question at the town meeting, certainly should have had it at the next Board of Selectmen's meeting. Frankly, I think that's poor and I resent it. May I go on to another subject?
Sure.
Yes. About 6 weeks ago, I attended what was the first meeting, organization of the coastal resilience, or is it coastal disaster planning? And this is something from a grant from the Metropolitan Area Planning Council, and Sam Cleaves, who is taking charge of it for them, presided at the meeting. At the end of the meeting, I was able to speak with him briefly and asked him if out of that we could possibly get rewrites of the town's coastal floodplain zoning bylaw, which is grossly defective. And also a rewrite of the stormwater bylaw, which is in the Code of Bylaws, which is also a pathetic affair. The answer to that was no. That would be beyond the scope of the plan. And I was sorely disappointed. But I have since thought about it and have a fallback position. And
I was just asking Sarah if I could ask you a question when you're done, Toby.
and I'm asking you to ask the MAPC, with their ongoing effort, if they can give us a list of 5 communities that have model stormwater bylaws. Towns, not cities, would be appropriate, and the same for the coastal floodplain section of the zoning bylaw. Could we have the names of 5 towns that have superior ones? And from that, it should be possible for the planning board to go forward with the zoning changes. Herman Lilja acknowledged that, you know, the whole thing needs to be revisited, but also said that they had umpteen other things to do, wasn't sure when they might get to it. I don't know who is supposed to rewrite Code of bylaws. It's not the Government and Bylaw Committee. Perhaps you can explain that to me. It's a rather strange thing that the Planning Board is supposed to rewrite zoning when needed, but the Government and Bylaw Committee, aside from the decennial review, is not supposed to be rewriting the Code of Bylaws. They're supposed to be impartial and judge of it. Perhaps you could explain. And would you answer my question? Will you please ask the MAPC people for the plans that I've referred to?
I'll let you ask your question.
Yeah, I will say that I'm going to the session on May 29th, so I'd be happy to ask at that point in time. Thank you. Sure. My question to you, Toby, was why are you saying that our coastal flooding and stormwater bylaws are inferior?
The stormwater bylaw, which was done to meet the requirements of the first phase for the NIPD's National Pollution Discharge Elimination, and it's on your agenda tonight. The first phase of their permit required, consideration of disturbance of areas of 40,000 square feet was what the government asked for. Eric Hutchins at the town meeting got it cut to 20,000 square feet. And you can do ruinous damage to the environment and havoc for your neighbors, disturbing much smaller areas than that. And your only recourse if you're an aggrieved property owner is to go to law against your neighbors. That's not the way a proper local government, should work. And, you know, it also applies to the town of Rockport. As for the coastal floodplain bylaw, that starts out with a list of subject uses, which whoever wrote it was probably smoking something.
Okay,
because-
let's end it there. I think do you understand?
Yeah,
at this
I'll
point?
follow up
Great.
with you after, Toby.
Thank you. Great.
Well, I could go on.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone else? Mr. Sepula?
Yes, is this working? Everybody here?
Yes.
Yeah, Z Supple, 92 Granite Street. I came here tonight because I wanted to update some comments that I made when Don was presiding here on March 15th. At that time, I brought up the Supreme Court case of Kelo versus the City of New London. And we went over a little bit of the big changes that that decision from the U.S. Supreme Court made in 2005. Basically, essentially, it changed the criteria that the public agencies or governments have to take private property from what had been a public use to a public purpose. And I went over the fact that it was a one-vote decision, 5-4, from the Supreme Court. It has turned out to be very, very unpopular in some circles because what it's doing is basically giving the government unbridled rights to take private property for almost any purpose that they can come up with. Nevertheless, that's still the law of the land. And the reason why I came tonight was because I've done some research on what state legislatures have done to counter that in those circles where that's found to be an unpopular decision. And Massachusetts is one of the states that came up with a grade F, meaning the state legislature in this state has done little or nothing to counter that. So it's still, as I said 2 months ago, basically a possibility that any town or any municipal part of this state could take that tool company property if they determined that it was for economic development. The next thing I wanted to cover, just very briefly because I've only got a few minutes, is that Denise Donnelly that night interjected my comments saying that she thought that it was still under review by the state courts and that we couldn't do anything on it until that was resolved. I didn't agree with that at the time, but I didn't know and said I'd get back if I could find out. And in the 2017 town report, Koppelman and Page does say on page 25 that Rousseau lost on both cases, failed to file appeals in the courts at a timely enough session, and those cases are basically closed. So Rousseau's legal avenues are over. So now what it becomes, in my mind, is whether or not the town is going to wait for that property to be developed in some mechanism, in some manner. And I think that given that 15 or 16 years ago, the Board of Selectmen voted as a policy to develop all of our harbors in a water-dependent means, that probably should be thought about, and particularly with the ocean resiliency and things like that, given some more serious consideration. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else for public comment? No? Okay. Moving on, we have an interview for one full-time police officer position. I know that Chief Horvath is here. Welcome, Chief.
Good evening, everyone. I'd just like to begin by saying congratulations to Selectman Wilkinson, Selectman George on your re-election and your election. On behalf of the police department, congratulations. We look forward to working with both of you.
Thank you.
In the future. So, I'm here this evening to introduce two members of the police department currently. They're both reserve police officers that are going to be interviewing for a full-time police officer position with the board tonight. And if you'd like, I can bring them both in and then just do a brief intro.
Sure. Is that okay with everybody if we do it together and then?
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
great.
Fine.
Okay, come on in.
What?
So the first candidate is Reserve Officer Mary Fountain. Mary has been with the Rockport Police Department for just a little bit over a year now, since April of 2017, as a Reserve Police Officer. She's completed her Reserve Police Officer Academy as well as her field training. Mary has some extensive public relations experience, and she's pursuing her bachelor's degree at Southern New Hampshire University in criminal justice. And candidate number 2 is Reserve Officer Mr. Kenneth Pedoni, and he's been with the department since May of 2017. He also has the Reserve Police Officer Academy, as well as has completed his field training. He has his bachelor's degree in criminal justice from UMass Lowell. Both these officers have added really strong value to our department, that have done some really good work here, and they're both very excited to answer all your questions this evening. So, that being said, I turn it over to the board unless you have any questions for me.
Great. And I know we have interviewed both before when they became reserve officers, so this isn't our first time meeting you. And of course, we've seen you around town a great deal. Questions from the board?
Well, first of all, as always, thank you. With the career path that you're going to undertake, or you're choosing to undertake, is noble, and it just has so many rewards. A lot of risks, but with great training and great leadership like you have, you'll do great there. I know that I had seen Mary one night at the library when I was going in, and we were talking, and I didn't even know this. The chief has everybody doing rounds and walkthroughs of these places, and I think that's great. It gets you guys out there and visual, and it really makes an impact on the community. So, again, thank you. And I'll ask the question once, but it'll go to both of you, and it's kind of a standard question that I ask for everybody. What one unique quality or trait do you bring to this job that will benefit you and will, more importantly, benefit the people in Rockport? I'll start with ladies' choice. We'll go with Mary first, please.
Thank you. I think just my experience dealing with constituents. I worked for a mayor of a large city for a number of years, so I used to do her communications and worked on her emergency management team and did all sorts of constituent services and quality of life issues, you know, whether it was health or building code, things like that. And also working with the police department is how I got more familiar with law enforcement.
Great. Thank you. Great answer. Please.
I have the ability to talk with people who have psychiatric problems, or they're in distress, people who are having everyday problems. I previously worked for the Cambridge Hospital. I dealt with a lot of patients one-on-one, just about everyday problems, from extensive mental health issues. So I believe I can bring that here, just on every regular call, just to help people, talk to them.
Great. Thank you. Thank you.
I just have a comment. I think it's really impressive how much both of you have demonstrated empathy. There are a lot of hard skills that go along with being a police officer, and clearly you've mastered those and are mastering those. But I really like that you both emphasize kind of the softer side, because that's so much a part of the job, and I think it will really benefit the town.
Thank you.
Other questions?
No. What part I know you haven't been in the job for a long period of time. It's been about a year. What do you find to be the most difficult part of the job?
I think for me, not really difficult, but just an adjustment was coming from a large urban city to a small town setting. I love it. It's very enjoyable. It's just something that it was different to try and get used to, but I like it a lot.
Ruth, did you have a question?
Yeah. No, I was just going to say, reading your resume and everything, just your previous skills in communication and people person that you are is going to be huge to this job.
Thank you.
That's really key to being a police officer, I think.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. So I just have a question. So what shifts will they, or is it already determined what shift the person will be working?
It's a seniority bid, so
Okay.
The officer has to go to the full-time police academy, which begins it's the end of July. July 30th is when the next academy will begin.
Okay.
It's about 6 months. Once they come out of there, they'll do probably one rotation of field training, because they have both completed their field training, and then it's a seniority bid. So I would guess they'll be on the midnight shift. So
Okay.
you may not see them as much as you do now.
Yeah.
I'm planning on it.
Over the phone when we call.
Yeah.
And I leave Rockport, I leave around 6:30 and I go through
Yeah.
Broadway and I see the police come and I go, those guys have been up since midnight. Oh, probably 11 o'clock. or so.
It's impressive. It's
Yeah.
impressive. I could not do that. And then I know that it seems, I feel like we're like wealthy in terms of talent. I know that tonight we're appointing one full-time officer, right? But I know that we have a lot of talent in the pool right now. So
Yes,
hopefully we're in
yes.
good shape for the next
It's a great farm team.
couple years. Yeah, because I know
absolutely.
at other times we have been starved for talent, so I think we're lucky right now.
But I pass that back to the board because you've supported us, along with the finance committee, the town administrator's office, to give us the funding to be able to hire those people, attract good candidates. So it's a team effort, so thank you for that. It's important.
Great. And I just, Paul took my main question, but I just want to thank you both. I know I've seen you both around town a lot. You're always smiling, helping people, and I thank you because I know that's really important. And people often comment to me about how friendly and helpful our police officers are, and I think you can't underestimate the value of that, especially in a small town. You know, I'm sure it's the same in a city, but in a city you don't see the same police officers over and over again. So I thank you both for adjusting to small town life so well so far.
And everyone's been so welcoming here, so it's been great and very easy to be nice to people. It's not hard.
Great.
Yeah.
How's the commute for both of you, Peabody and Lynn?
From my house, it's 28 minutes, but we're looking at relocating, you know, somewhere in between. My husband works in Lynn, so probably somewhere in the Cape Ann, North Shore area we'll end up.
We're trying to attract young families here to Rockport. Right, so
I do have one, yes.
Right, that's-
I know the schools are great, so.
you know who we want here, so that's a great,
With children.
right? It's a win-win for
I just
everybody.
have to convince my husband to have the commute now, that's
There you
all,
go.
yeah.
It's tough. I know in the summer my husband commutes to Marblehead, which is not, I mean, in the winter he commutes past Boston, which is tough, but Marblehead's tough too. So, but it's worth it. It's worth
It
it to
is.
live up here.
Oh, absolutely.
Beginning of the world.
Well, Chief, I'd ask you if you had a recommendation, because we get a brief, snapshot into what's going on here, but your opinion is valuable. What say you?
Sure, thank you. Very strong candidates as the chairperson Selectman Wilkinson said. We have some really good talent in the department. Civil Service Department, we have to go based on their rankings unless we have a reason otherwise. Few people give us a reason to go otherwise. Mary has earned this opportunity, so Mary Fountain would be my recommendation to the board. And moving forward, as we have people, retire through attrition, we've got great candidates waiting in the wings, including Officer Pedoni. So everybody will get their opportunity, but Mary has earned the shot for this next one.
Great.
Great.
Thank you for that input.
Grateful.
And thank you both for your
Very nice to meet
your
you.
work so far and your
Yep.
future work as well. We look forward to working
Yep.
with you. Is there a motion?
Absolutely. Madam Chair, I move that the Board of Selectmen appoint Mary Fountain as a full-time police officer onto the Rockport Police Force effective July 22nd, 2018.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any further discussion? No? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Great.
Welcome.
Thank you very much,
Great.
everybody.
Thank you.
And Kenneth, thank you very much. Something tells me we'll be seeing you again in here soon. Thanks, Mary.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Good for you.
Thanks, Mary. Congratulations. Best of luck.
Perfect. Oh, shoot. I just got an email asking me bring baseballs. They're in my driveway. Oops. Okay.
Great.
Next, we have interview of Lori McDonald as a member of the insurance committee. Hi, Lori. Dawn, would you mind I just have to reply. I just got an emergency email asking where the bucket of baseballs was for the game, and they're in my driveway. So I just have to reply. Will you get the interview started?
That's okay. We'll start it. Okay. So we're going to start with the interview, with the motion for the interview.
I will.
No, that's Ruth. And I'm proud to ask for a motion on this from the first time from our new select person.
I nominate Laurie McDonald as a member of the Insurance Committee for a term to expire on June 30th, 2020.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. Further discussion?
Lori, welcome.
Here we go.
Wow,
Welcome.
thank you.
Welcome.
That's it. That was quick.
That was quick. Thank you. I'm very honored, and it's really great to be here. I'm looking forward to working with everyone.
If you don't mind, would
Yeah.
you just tell us a little bit about what goes on and where the committee stands right now? I mean, insurance for this town is a huge issue.
Yes.
So is there.
Yeah, I can imagine that it is. I actually haven't met Russ Daly or the committee members yet. We're meeting on June 13th. That'll be my first meeting. I did ask in advance of the meeting if I could have a schedule of insurance, and that apparently is not available. So I think we have some work to do, but I'm really looking forward to working with everybody.
And I happen to know Lori is an expert in the area of risk, and so we're very lucky to have her.
Did you recruit Lori?
No, I didn't recruit you, did I?
No.
No. She
Well,
volunteered.
indirectly you
Indirectly,
did,
yeah.
right, because we're neighbors, and I
Yeah.
was very inspired by Denise's candidacy and her successful run, and inspired by all of you, too, and all the good things you're doing in the town. I just want the opportunity to give back, and, you know, you've all really been an inspiration to me in terms of how you all have contributed to the town. And so, in some small way, I hope to do the same.
I think it'll
Yep.
be more than small. I think
Yep.
we're really going to benefit from your expertise, so thank
Oh,
you.
Sure, my pleasure.
Knowing what's in front of us, I know it's going to be a big contribution, so that's great. So thank you.
Thank you.
Does anybody else have any questions? Any other board members? Ruth? Anybody? Okay, the way it works is we interview this time.
Yes.
We will vote on it the next time.
Yep.
You don't have to be present for that, but
Okay.
again, like I said, thank you for stepping up. Volunteers in this town are valued, and thank you so much for what you're about to do. It's really going to make an impact on this town.
I hope so.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay, thank you very much.
Perfect.
Nice to meet you.
Okay.
Nice to meet you as well.
Next, we have an interview of,
Hang on one
no,
second.
next meeting we vote.
We have to
Vote on
finish
the
the motion.
nomination.
Oh, I'm
We're-
sorry.
This is just
Oh,
on the
right.
interview.
Oh,
This is
right.
not
Right.
about the
Oh, yeah,
appointment.
so finish it,
So we're
sorry.
clear. So the motion has been made and seconded for the interview. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Perfect,
Great.
thanks. I keep
Thank
forgetting
you.
that. Next, we have an interview of a familiar face, June Michaels, for reappointment to the Finance Committee. Good evening, June.
Hi, Mel and I were married on May 23rd, 1993.
Wow.
Tomorrow is our 25th.
Oh, congratulations.
Congratulations.
We bought a house the following year, and I became a Rockport taxpayer. And I have gone, and the first year we were married, I then joined the FinCom. So I have gone from being a blow-in to now being the authority on how things used to be done in 1683 or some such year.
How many years do you have, June?
24 years.
On committee?
But the first year I was on the DPW advisory board because that was my strength. I worked for Harvard University's Buildings and Grounds, so that was a lot like a public works department. So
Wow.
after I'd done that for a year, they changed to having 3 commissioners instead, and they had a vacancy on the finance committee, so I filled that.
Wow.
Wow.
And now you can't get out.
Now you're stuck.
Yeah, you love
You're
it.
there. You're
Yep.
you're cemented in there.
Not necessarily. I would prefer to put it positively that I think I still have something to contribute.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
1 or 2 ideas that maybe we haven't heard of or acted on yet.
I've been in meetings, obviously, with you, and you're very creative in your approach, and I think it's refreshing, and it's an asset that the people of the town don't always realize or know about, but is very much appreciated in town, especially by this board, I know.
Thank you. I believe that public tax money should be spent to produce the largest and broadest public good without spending so much that you don't have large, hefty reserves for emergencies.
Excellent, yeah. And I mean, I can just say for my work in the past, goodness, I guess it's 12 years on the selectmen, on the board, that I think we've always worked well together, and you are one of the people in town who we can always count on to be respectful in meetings, and you can disagree respectfully and have differing opinions and still all work together and sit around the same table.
Thank
So
you.
I thank you for always being that.
And I just want to add, you're so calm and cool and in explaining things at town meeting. You do it so well, explaining what the finance committee's thoughts are and everything. It's very, very good.
Thank you.
Great job.
So I would like to ask, what would you like to see more in the coming year? What would you like to see more from this board? Or I know we touched earlier on wanting to communicate more with the finance committee and the planning board, especially, but all boards really.
I'd like to see maybe more meetings and more interaction between the two committees. I think what the town needs that we've all been talking about is long-range planning.
Yeah.
We managed to scrape by from emergency to emergency and from town meeting to town meeting and one year's annual budget to the next, but we know we have so many things to deal with. The storms this spring are just one aspect of the ocean rise, and 15 years from now we're going to be relocating streets maybe. Because every storm wipes out not just Penzance Road that we're ready to give up on, but parts of Marmion Way and Back Beach. And we have huge other infrastructure projects like the school heating system, sewage treatment plant, things that we know are on the horizon. And we need a lot of planning. And I'm glad to see we have a new person on the insurance board because the health insurance is a major budget buster. The health insurance and disasters.
Great. Any other questions?
Yeah, I would just say, June, you're a real asset to the town, and you've been an excellent steward of our finances in your role on the finance committee, and I just want to echo that we're very grateful for your many years of service and glad that you want to stick around.
Well, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results is the definition of something.
Insanity. A finance.
That's funny. That's a good way to put it. It's funny, this past week, I don't know if this has happened to you, Ruth, but people have come up to me and I think they're going to say congratulations, but they say condolences. And I'm like, could we? I'm like,
Yeah.
let's flip it around. Let's look positively at what we have to work on. We have a great team of people, and I don't do this for the condolences, as I don't think any of us do. And you're
Don't
included.
tell Ruth that condolences are in order.
I know.
I mean, the honey food.
So anyway, thank you for your willingness to keep up the good work.
Right, absolutely.
So has the motion been made?
Nope, I'll
Okay,
make the
would you like to
motion.
make the motion?
I move that the selectmen reappoint June Michaels as a member of the Finance Committee for a term to expire on May 1st, 2021.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded, and this is a reappointment, so we can vote on it, correct? Okay. Any further discussion? None? No? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thanks so much, Jane.
Congratulations and thank you.
And tell Mel we were nice to you.
Yes. Next, we have approval of minutes of May 1st, 2018.
That's you.
Yeah, the
Aye.
2018.
Aye.
Aye. Oh, where am I? I'm lost here.
Right here. Aye.
Oh, I thought you said I something. Approval of minutes. I move that
Stay
the
with me
selectmen. Yeah, exactly. The selectmen approve the minutes of May 1st, 2018.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. I will recuse myself. I was not present.
And I will
And
abstain
Ruth
also.
will as well.
And we have 3 enough for a vote. So it's been
Yes.
seconded. Denise, did you second?
Yes.
Fantastic.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Next, we have approval of minutes of May 8th, 2018. Is there a motion?
Madam Chair, I move the selectmen approve the minutes of May 8, 2018.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded, and we were all here.
Abstain.
Ruth will abstain. Any further discussion on these?
Nope.
Nope. Eileen, yet again, your minutes are like spectacular, literally, because that was kind of it was complicated with the market and everything, but you
You got
you
it.
nailed it. Any further discussion? Nope. Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Next, we have selectmen updates and liaison reports.
I'll jump in with the excitement
Okay.
real quick. Selectman Campbell signed the payroll warrant number 46 totaling $115,981.23 and expense warrant number 46 totaling $106,333.81 on May 15th, 2018.
Okay, thank you. Any other?
The only thing I'll say is I was lucky enough to attend the senior showcase at Shaylin Lou last week.
I wish I could have.
Oh my God, I cried at the end. These kids are so talented. We are so lucky. What a great school, what great teachers. I mean, it was like the house was packed, first of all, which was cool. And at the end, there were people walking out crying. So-
And it was at the Shaylin Lou.
At the
which,
Shaylin
like,
Lou.
You know,
Yeah.
what could be
Could you get
better?
any better?
Oh my
Right?
Yeah.
And it was free.
Yeah.
And it was free.
Yeah.
Goodness. It's
Yeah.
like the art show, which is literally like a professional art show. Yeah.
Oh, it was. Some of those kids are really
Um,
impressive.
Any other liaison reports? I
Anything?
just,
Nope.
I had one. Mitch and I and Rich Souza, Assistant DPW Director, were interviewed today. It was actually really cool by a reporter from WGBH about how the town is recovering from the winter storms. And they were here for a couple of hours, then they headed over to Gloucester for a couple of hours, and they took pictures, and we basically explained that our DPW has worked really hard, like really, really hard, and that because of that, it's Memorial Day and the town is like open for business. And I think it's going to be on All Things Considered, maybe this.
All Things Considered Thursday,
Thursday.
and the morning news on WGBH Friday morning.
Friday.
Okay.
Yeah, but it was cool. And she had never been up to Rockport before. It was a reporter and a photographer. And they said they'd love to come up again. We kind of dusted off our motif #1, history, which was really rusty. But she said she'd love to come up again this summer, and she thought it was gorgeous here. And if anybody has any other good ideas for stories, we have her contact information.
And she's going to move here and she has children.
Pushing that.
That's number 2 tonight.
Yeah.
That's good.
So anyway, okay, moving on. Town Administrator's report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The board received this evening on your table a draft of a potential letter of support that DPW Director Mr. Parisi is asking that the board consider endorsing as part of an upcoming grant. So the grant, as part of the Coastal Resilience Grant Program, this affects adding vegetation to around what's considered the mushroom cap, the sewer manhole that's protruding from the ground at the Rockport end of Long Beach and the road in the back. This is part of the work that Long Beach Infrastructure Committee has been doing. So this does not, as Mr. Parisi has indicated to me, does not harden the beach in any way. It's simply vegetation to hold in what's there. And then at some point, we do expect that we will probably have to do a planned retreat with abandoning that last manhole and moving back to the next one. But this particular one addresses adding vegetation to hold in what's already there.
Okay.
So if the board, please do let me know your thoughts on that.
Okay.
A couple of other items briefly. We have transitioned the master calendar for the board into a Google Calendar.
Yeah.
So we'll be sharing that out next week. So all of the board's meetings, important items that you need to be aware of, we will have on that calendar. So
Can we subscribe?
you can
to
subscribe.
It from our personal if we
Yes,
want?
yep,
Okay,
we can
cool.
share it. We'll share it to all of your Rockport accounts, and
Only
then if you want a personal account
2018.
subscribed, we'll just share it out that way for you.
Great.
So that's hoping that works out. It'll be a little more dynamic, so we can keep things updated for you instead of reissuing the paper.
Well, it's so 2004 of us, huh?
We've started using Doodle too
Yeah.
for meetings, so we're getting there. So we have that coming for you next week. Another item I would ask the board, if you do have any comments or further input or adjustments on my suggested goals, I'd ask that you touch base with me sometime this week. I'd like to start carrying those out June 1st. So if there is any feedback, I'm happy to take it. Please do let me know, and we can discuss that at your convenience in the next week or so. That wraps up my items. Thank you.
Great. Any questions on the town administrator's report?
No, I'll get back to you, Mitch, I have a few that I want to go over with you, so we'll go over that. That's great.
Great. Okay, moving on to the action list, appointment of seasonal parking control officers.
I move that the Board of Selectmen appoint Nancy Warner, Eric Junker, Caden Tibbert, Nicholas Scatterday, and Andrew Pangatakos as seasonal parking control officers, employees at will, for the 2018 season, effective immediately.
Motion has been made. Is there a second?
I'll make a second.
Okay. Do you need to recuse yourself?
Yeah, Nicholas Scatterday is my nephew by marriage.
Okay.
And I went to the prom with his wife.
With his mom.
Mother.
With his mother.
Yeah. This is good. You kill that?
A different generation there.
Goodness, Paul.
It's all in the family.
It's all done now. You're
Heard
out.
that about Rockport.
They're all
I'm sure your
done.
whole family's sitting around the TV watching tonight's
Yeah.
meeting.
Somewhere in Rockport, there's a couch being moved outside.
Okay. On
Anyway,
that
we
note, I'm
digress.
guessing there's no further comment
None.
on that. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion carries with one abstention. Next, we have the Old Firehouse Trust lease dissolution.
I move that the Board of Selectmen terminate the Old Firehouse Trust Inc.'s lease of the Old Firehouse Trust Building at 3 Dock Square, effective June 1st, 2018, as requested by the leasee.
Second.
Madam Chair, if I could address that. I mentioned, I believe, at the previous meeting that this would be happening. The lessee has asked that the town take it back early. So we will be, we certainly thank Claire and her family for many years of service and what they did to save that building. So we'll look to have them in next month to recognize her family for that great work. In the meantime, we will be looking to get an assessment of the facility to see what kind of work we will need to do there. We'll be changing the locks over June 1st, and at the board's next meeting, I will come to you with a request to consider a license for use for the Rockport Exchange, which is currently a tenant in the building.
Right.
So it would basically be an open-ended term until a time that the board opts to do something different with the building. That way they can continue to use it. And, I will present a draft license for use for the board to consider for that.
Because they use it for, just so people know.
They use it second floor for storage.
For the farmer's market and that type of thing right now.
Yes,
So
for
we
all of
want
their
them to-
events, they have it on the second floor.
Until we come up with or change the plan. They
And
just-
we don't have a time frame to make a decision on what
No.
we do on that, right?
No.
That's at our discretion. right now,
Absolutely.
It's just
Now
our
that it's,
problem.
now that the lease is in our, now that there's no lease anymore, which is.
Right.
great.
Correct.
Yeah.
And Public Works has a few items that they need to go in and address quickly. There's a few windowsills that need to be replaced to stop some water getting into the building. So all of that will happen, and then it'll be an assessment and then back for the board to determine what it wants to do.
Great.
Great. Great, okay. Any further comments on that? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, nay. Motion carries. Next, approval of roadway and sidewalk reconstruction and paving with Nocella Landscaping and Paving for $510,950.50. Of course, they throw the 50 cents in there.
Exactly. I move that the Board of Selectmen approve and sign a contract with Nacella Landscaping and Paving, 185 New Boston Road, Woburn, Massachusetts, for the 2018 road and sidewalk reconstruction and paving project in the amount of $510,950.50.
Second?
Motion has been made and seconded. Any further discussion? No? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Next, we have approval of the MSF permit compliance notice of intent and stormwater management plan with Weston and Sampson for $25,000.
Madam Chair, I move that the Board of Selectmen approve and sign an agreement with Weston and Sampson, Inc., 5 Centennial Drive, Peabody, Massachusetts, for the MS4 permit compliance notice of intent and stormwater management plan update proposal in the amount of $25,000.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Question?
Yes, can you tell us what MS4 means?
Yes, hold on a second. Get up in the thing. Hold on.
My thing's frozen.
I believe it should be in the to be signed folder as well. It may be faster
Okay.
to find.
I'm just getting.
I think that's.
39 to 44. I got it.
Hold on, Toby. Landscaping.
information just said MS4 permit.
Permit compliance.
Compliance.
Madam Chair, if it helps, it is part of our, as was previously explained to a previous speaker, that it's part of our NIPD's permit process and the stormwater management plan.
Okay.
There's no explanation of what MS4
Yeah.
stands for in here. It just says MS4. So I assume that's some sort of regulation?
It's a
MS for permit compliance.
yeah, it's a type of permit.
It's a type of
It's a
permit.
type of EPA permit. And
I was going to
we
say.
might have to figure that out.
It's certainly something that
Yeah.
Oh,
Joe
Tom
was
knows.
aware.
Oh, does Tom know?
A little while ago, it's something about stormwater separation system.
Yeah, I just don't know what MS4 stands for specifically.
Water separation is something.
Oh, it's something like that. Okay. We can
It's
we
just
can get
four
we can get
different
the answer to that.
categories.
Not a big deal. Okay. Okay. Any further comments on this? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Next, we have page 2. Approval of World Elder Awareness Day on June 14th, 2018.
I move that the board grant the Rockport Police Department, the Council on Aging, and the Senior Care permission to hold their annual participation in the World Elder Abuse Awareness Day at Five Corners on Thursday, June 14th, 2018, from 10 a.m. until 12 noon.
Second?
Okay, motion has been made and seconded. Any further discussion?
Why do they need our approval to stand at Five Corners? I don't
Probably
recall.
just for
They don't need our, it's
Candid-
not just, no,
It's
it's,
just for
it's
our
our
support.
approval of, the town supporting
Oh,
elder
okay.
awareness.
Yes, sponsorship.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think, Roger Lesh usually handles this, and he hopes that in approving it that we join them
Oh,
at
I
Five
see.
Corners.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And they do it twice a year now.
Correct.
Because I was convinced that we did it more than once a year, and I was not crazy. Okay, so, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Great. Next, we have an outdoor display permit for Asian Inspiration Gallery, and I think he's here. Yeah. Good evening. How are you? Mr. Desmond, right? Yes. Yes. Do you want to join us at the table? Great. Okay. Would you like to? Was there a motion?
I
Do you wanna
think I'll wait. Let's
Sure.
have the discussion first.
Sure. Okay. Good evening. Nice to see you. Would you like to discuss a little bit about what your plan for this year is, if it's any different from last year? I know you're in a different location.
It's really basically the same as it's been for the last, well, this will be our 9th year. But we moved locations. We moved from number 7, Bearskin Neck, to number 5.
Okay.
A total distance of about 4 feet.
Okay.
And I'm sure you probably have some pictures of, it was in front of the, well, probably none of you don't remember. Do you know Joan Lipson? She owns the building, yeah. Well, with the brick in the front, but we are just to the building to the right, which was up until a couple months ago, was called the Prince and the Pauper.
The Prince and the Pauper, right.
So we've shifted just location literally next door, and I can show the board that this is. This was the location we've been at for 8 years.
Okay.
And you can see this is the door right next door, would be to this, to the right of here. And it's, I've measured this, it's the exact same measurement as the one next door. It's 4 feet by 12 feet. So right now, I haven't finished this, I've got it all cleared and prepared. But what I'd like to do is, what I want to do is, what I'm going to do, whether I get a display permit or not, is, because this is just soil, I'm gonna put a layer of crushed stone on it, and then put flagstones, you know, so it'll be similar to the all brick one, but, here's the measurements and then what my intentions are.
So thank you, Mr. Desmond. I guess, one of the reasons, well, the reason we wanted to ask you to come in to meet with us before we approved the permit was that we know that over the years, in fact, I think almost every year that we have on record of your requesting a permit, there have been, you've been cited with numerous violations of the outdoor display permit. And so what we'd like to understand from you is, and let me back up a little bit. We're totally thrilled that you're in town, and we totally support Rockport businesses, and we want to do everything that we can do to support you within the framework of the regulations and the bylaws that govern operation of business. So please don't mistake this for anything other than trying to comply with those bylaws. We're just concerned that you've had this history of repeated violations, and want to hear from you that we won't have that same issue again this year.
I understand.
You understand what? I'd like to hear it from you.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you know, there have been, I didn't have any violations last year. I've been cited a couple times for having too many pieces out there.
Right. Or going out of business signs.
I'm sorry?
Weren't those the going out of business?
that
That
was
was the different one? Okay, sorry.
No.
My apologies, okay.
I may be going out of business, but it's not in my immediate plan. Some of it is that I explained to Paul, I think one time, is that some of the pieces were decorative pieces, not for sale.
I see.
So and he understood that. I don't think I mean, last year I didn't have any issue. Maybe
No.
the year before I didn't have any issue.
And the year before.
But because some of them were just, like I said, decorations for the front of the shop,
I
which
see.
were not for sale pieces. But
I see.
yes, I will comply.
Okay,
with,
thank you.
Absolutely.
Appreciate that. Yep.
I just, you know, I don't want to minimize, but there were other shops in my immediate neighborhood,
Yeah.
you know, where they would have, there was a set, I was given a specific number of pieces that I was allowed to display. And then when I spoke with my neighbors, it's like, oh no, we don't have, we can put whatever we want out here. And it's like, okay, whatever.
That's not true.
Yeah. And that's not,
That's not true. So we should make sure that we're.
Yeah.
I think we're making a renewed effort this year to have the
just be
police
fair
chief
and
and be
consistent.
make it consistent with everyone
Yeah.
because I mean I was down there actually today and I noticed there are people already violating, and that's not it's not fair to the people who are following the rules basically.
Well,
as you know.
also, there's a difference between my previous location and this location, is that none of my displays have, I've been fortunate with both of these places, that I have an area where I don't have to encroach onto public
Yeah, you're
land.
very lucky.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Right.
actually part of my
Yes.
building, you
Yeah.
know, so
Yeah.
I don't have things out in the street like
Right.
many other people do,
Right.
clothes hanging and things like that.
no,
Yeah.
and
You know, which doesn't bother me personally.
Right.
No,
mean-
understood, but you can also understand that we have to make sure that people are conforming. But it should be fair and consistent. You have a point there, and if you find that there are issues, please feel free to speak up.
Well, I'm not,
I understand,
You
but
know.
we need eyes and ears.
it's none of my
too.
business what other people do. I mean, if someone was to started selling Big Macs on the street, I probably wouldn't like that. But I mean, I had an issue, you know, several years ago with a gentleman who was across the street from me where he was kind of violating the spirit of his
Yeah,
musical performances outside and
Yeah.
was so loud. And I mean, I had to call the police like 7, 8, 9 times, you know.
boy.
And
Yeah.
I mean, we did finally resolve that. And the shop is no longer here. But
Yeah.
and you are. And
well,
we-
I am. It's so I don't know.
Okay.
Well,
I mean,
anyway.
I've always tried to. I think if you go down, I'm sure most of you have gone down.
Yeah, yeah.
We've always tried to make the shop kind of a, you know, it's not a junk shop.
No.
It's
You
not
have
a
very nice
not
pieces.
that I
Yeah.
have anything against T-shirts and sunglasses and ice cream, but I mean, we've always tried to have a tasteful display
is
down there,
tasteful,
and
yeah.
we often get comments, you know, about how lovely the outside of the shop looks. So it's, I won't call it a high-end shop, but it's certainly not a low-end shop.
No. And we thank you for coming in. We appreciate you.
No,
coming.
it's my pleasure.
Yeah.
So I'm a newbie on the board. So how many items are you allowed out front right now for this year?
Well, it's always been 8.
8, okay.
And I think we came up with that number with you. Like I think we kind of worked with you on what would fit in the space.
Correct.
If I
Correct.
remember correctly.
Mr. Desmond was in front of the board previously,
Right,
and that was
I mean,
the.
it was several years ago
Correct.
at this point when you first came.
And I mean, I think to reiterate what Denise is saying is, we want to be completely supportive. But the town does have rules, and those rules need to be followed, and they're not arbitrary, and they're not speculative, they're hard and fast. And we try to be as flexible as we can. However, when there's a violation, and especially repeated violations, as unfortunately was in this case, steps should be taken to ensure that we can just protect the interest, because we have to look out for the interests of the people in town. And when they look for something like a rule on displays and signage, which will be brought up in future workshops, that's our intent. It's not, our intent is not to hurt anybody, but
Of course.
to promote commerce in an equitable way, I guess would be the best way to say it. So with that, Madam Chair, I'd like to offer an amendment to the motion, if I may.
Sure.
And the motion's been read, but I would like to amend it.
What was, I'm sorry, what was the motion?
I haven't made.
Oh, I'm sorry, it hasn't been made yet.
so-
Yeah,
Normally the
I thought I
motion is
missed
first,
something.
I apologize,
Yeah.
no, it's my fault, I'm sorry.
make it?
Normally it's
go
made
ahead.
first.
Why don't
Yeah.
you just make the motion and
Yeah.
add with your amendment, so we don't have to amend it?
So I don't have
Is
to
that
write it
okay?
down.
There you go,
Yeah.
perfect, all right,
Yeah,
we'll make it,
perfect.
all right, great. So, Madam Chair, I move that the Board of Selectmen, a board approve and sign it says the outdoor display renewal for Asian Inspiration Gallery of 5 Bearskin Neck with the stipulations that there be only 2 sets of 4 of
Each.
four each item, 4 of each item, no more than 8 total as previously approved at a meeting held on April 16, 2013, and upon any subsequent violation related thereto, the Board of Selectmen at the next meeting after the violation will vote whether to revoke this permit.
That's fine. I mean, that's
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 the
actually
intent,
just,
and it's there,
that's
right.
the intent that
Right, exactly.
can happen
So
anyways. which is-
that would happen anyways.
Right,
Right.
but it's just in there, which is fine.
Right, so it's in the minutes and it's part of the record.
Yeah, and I would also encourage you, if you notice, like, feel free, to call our office if you see other people violating it. because
Well, it's not really my style. I mean,
I understand, but, and no one's going
you
to.
know, I
no
try to
one's
mind
gonna-
my own business down there.
I understand, but.
I mean, I see
you know,
neon signs down there, which I thought were illegal in Rockport.
Right, we're gonna be, there are
And,
neon
you know,
signs,
I don't
there are
think
sandwich
that looks
boards. I know, I
very
agree. So I
quaint.
think we're getting on all, we're kind of revamping, getting on all of that,
Mm.
because, like, I agree with Denise, I think your product looks nice, it looks nice in front of the shop, you know, it's very tasteful. We just have to be consistent with what we allow. Motion has been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries, great.
Thank you.
Are you open yet?
Thank you very much.
Thank
Are you open yet for the season?
Yes, we are.
Oh, great.
Eileen, did you get that?
How's
Or
it
do you need
been
me to
so
give
far?
it to you? You good?
Slow.
You are.
I mean, I think.
But it's, that's right. It's, you
Yeah.
know, before school gets out, it's all
slow.
about the weekend weather.
We're not gonna have a good weekend, I heard.
No, it doesn't look good,
I
you know.
know.
I mean, we're gonna get a good week, which is, nobody's taking vacations yet or
Not
anything,
yet,
so.
yeah. Well, we hope
Weekends
you have a
can be
good season.
You just open the door every day and hope for the best. What else can you do?
Well, best
thank
of
you.
luck for a good
Thank you
season.
for coming.
Thank
out.
you.
Thanks,
Very
nice
kind
to
of
see
you.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have approval of outdoor display permits for Jetty Walk Arts and Kaya's Crafts. No one's here for
Where am
those.
I?
specific-
Yes, I move that the Board of Selectmen approve and sign outdoor display renewals for Jetty Walk Arts at 36 Bearskin Neck and Kaya's Craft, 21 Bearskin Neck for the 2018 season.
Second.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded. So neither of those had any violations, Mitch, we checked?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
If there were any, it would be in the packet. I don't
It
see
would
any
be in
as
the
I'm
packet,
scrolling
right?
through here.
Okay, yeah. Okay, any further discussion on these? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, nay. Motion carries. Great. That was a good idea to add that to that one.
Well,
I think it
but-
just kind
The-
of reiterated that there
Well, the
is a-
reason is because when you read the language, if there's a violation, there will be a vote. It's not whether we should look at it and discuss it again. We will vote.
Yeah,
And
which is
that's,
good.
that was my
Yeah,
intention.
Yeah,
So.
definitely. Okay, next we have a home occupancy permit for Seaside Gardens.
Madam Chair, I move that the Selectmen approve and sign a home occupation permit for Seaside Gardens Guest House of 44 Main Street.
Second?
Motion has been made and seconded. Is anyone here for that? Nope. Put that up. there anything special about this?
There isn't, and you're seeing these come back a bit more because previously they were showing up just to be signed in your packet,
Yeah.
but as I felt as the licensing authority, you need to actually vote on them unless you delegate them
Got it.
to
Okay.
our office to process. So they're just here because it needs to go through
That's
the
fine.
correct procedure.
Great, okay. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed nay, motion carries, great. Lastly, we have approval of year-end transfers.
Denise got this one.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, there's one before, there's a
Oh, did
Ruth
we
one
miss one?
first, and then there's, I have
Oh,
the
is
nice
there?
long one.
That should be a mistake. That's swapped.
You do the first
Yes.
and I do the second.
You do the long one?
Yes, Ruth has the long one. You have the
Oh.
small.
Oh,
This one.
good.
From the frying pan to the fire.
Yes.
I move that the Board of Selectmen approve and ask the chairperson to sign the following year-end transfers for the police department. $2,525.45 from patrol officers' wages to police equipment. $2,925 from patrol officers' wages to police equipment.
Motion has been made, is there a second?
Nope. Yep.
Second.
Yes. I said nope, I meant yes.
Discussion?
Nobody can second.
Yeah.
All said so.
You're recusing yourself from this?
Yes.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed nay, motion carries.
And then recuse myself.
Okay. Next, more year-end transfers.
Yep. I move that the Board of Selectmen approve and ask that the chairperson to sign the following year-end transfers. 25,000 town account salary to snow and ice deficit. 25,000 to town account salary to snow and ice deficit. $9,128.71 town account salary to snow plowing overtime. $71,208.05 from health insurance to storm damage repair. $28,791.95 health insurance to electricity streetlights. $11,257.15 from unemployment insurance to electricity streetlights. $22,717.45 from unemployment insurance to solid waste tipping fees. $2,500 from treasurer collector postage to solid waste tipping fees. $22,782.55 from sick buyback to solid waste tipping fees. $5,700 from Essex Tech to Community House Revolving Fund. $7,217.45 from sick buyback to Community House Revolving Fund. $2,459.35 from tax title legal to Community House Revolving Fund. $1,500 from Community Development Package transfers to PP Electricity. $750 from Animal Control Vehicle Maintenance to PP Electricity. $150 from Animal Control Office Supplies for PP Electricity. $400 from Animal Control Gas and Diesel to PP Electricity. $607.23 from T&P Public Transportation to PP Electricity. $130 from Finance Commission dues to PP Electricity. $3,000 tax possessed POS to PP Electricity. $100 from tax possessed advertising to PP Electricity. $1,000 from BOS meeting support clerk to PP Electricity. $356.88 merit bonus pool to PP Electricity. $500 personnel board meeting support clerk PP Electricity. $1,000 HR clerical sub-wages PP Electricity. $505.89 technical support specialty salary PP Electricity. $25,000 workers' compensation to LB sidewalk removal match. $9,025.40 from unemployment insurance to fire vehicle maintenance. $7,540.65 from tax title legal to harbor float maintenance, and $5,149.77 T&P Public Transport to Harbor Float Maintenance.
Okay, do it again.
Madam Chair, if I have just one tweak. My apologies, I double copied something. The second town accountant salary, the 25,000, should be veterans benefits account.
Okay.
Should be what?
Veterans benefits.
Okay. Is that, Eileen, you have that? Okay.
Question,
Yes.
will all of this appear in the next town report?
They did, Madam Chair, previously, and we'll continue that
Yes.
practice until you tell us
Yep.
otherwise.
Great. Ruth, nice job. That's your hazing. Your selectman hazing.
Thank you.
Okay, any further discussion on these? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed nay. Motion carries. Great. And is that it? I think that's it for our action list. Goodness. Any other business?
No, Madam
I
Chair.
did, I think I emailed you and Debbie tonight, if you can just, if we're getting the calendar next week, but I know we added some workshops. Do you
Yes,
guys mind
it'll
just-
be on
It'll
that.
be in that, okay,
Yes.
great. I just wanna make sure, I recycled my paper that I
Yes.
wrote them all before I added them all, so great. Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So moved.
Okay, second.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, nay. Motion carries, great. Nice job, Ruth.
Now you're a veteran,
You're
Ruth.
done.
Good job.
We're in.